There are increasing concerns tonight that terrorists may want to strike here in the U.S. during the presidential transition. Chief Washington correspondent James Rosen has more on that story tonight from the White House.
Preserve, protect, and defend.
Since America last witnessed a presidential transition, the terror threat has metastasized, with dozens of new Islamic militant groups at large, and the most audacious of them, ISIS, reaching well beyond Syria and Iraq. Now, as the next transfer of power in Washington approaches, analysts say the U.S. intelligence community is on edge, bracing for terrorists and other U.S. adversaries eager to make their mark.
They want to test the administration's outgoing and incoming to see what kind of resolve we'll have, to learn whether we're going to be feckless or whether we're going to go toe-to-toe with the enemy. And so the period is sort of ripe for whether they're political events, strategic events, or simple tactical terrorist events.
President Obama has said the U.S. counterterrorism apparatus is stronger than ever.
We've seen much better cooperation between the FBI, state governments, local governments.
But law enforcement veterans say the next weeks and months present acute concern.
The security is now going to be heightened to the highest limit you could possibly imagine until and maybe a little bit after January 20th.
9/11, a set of mass casualty attacks on the homeland coordinated by a terror group overseas, remains the ultimate example of a first-year crisis for a national security team not yet fully formed. Even earlier, just 70 days into his term, George W. Bush had to deal with the deadly collision of a U.S. spy plane with a Chinese fighter jet, an incident that landed the American crew in captivity for 11 days. President Obama's first year saw an uprising in Iran brutally crushed by the regime and a swine flu outbreak. Tevi Troy, author of Shall We Wake the President, said the Romney transition team of 2012 formed a black swan unit to game plan for first-year crises.
And you can't prepare for every eventuality, but you can prepare for how you deal with eventualities. In government, it's called the all-hazards approach. You don't know what exactly is going to happen, but you do prepare yourself to deal with all kinds of crises so that you can be nimble and agile and use the playbook that you have, whatever the crisis is that you face.
Finally, the Trump transition team is disputing a Washington Post story from earlier this week that asserted that the president-elect has only twice availed himself of the highly classified compendium of intelligence and threat reporting known as the Presidential Daily Brief. A senior transition official told me Mr. Trump has been hearing directly from world leaders and also from the so-called landing team he has in place here at the National Security Council at the White House. Doug?
James Rosen on the North Lawn tonight. Thank you, James.
You bet.